right, guys, you guys ready?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. How was lunch?
Good.
All good. Awesome. Excellent. Appreciate you guys joining here today. So, my name is Jon Ulloa. I'm a principal product manager. I've been working for about 10 years in a bunch of B2B enterprise companies. Before I get started, again, quick shout out to our sponsors here, Texas McCombs, Pragmatic Institute. 6 or 7 years ago, I was actually like in these seats, so it's pretty crazy to be up here now. But, cool. Okay, so this talk is going to be about personalized AI and more focused on an actual like segment of users in the enterprise space that struggle with neurodiversity and accessibility in their first 90 days on the job, right? So I'm going to really focus on that research. And it's going to be about the enterprise seller, the salesperson. But I think a lot of these learnings are going to be able for you to reflect on like how can personalized AI help with your own job search, right? Whether you're neurodiverse or not, I think this is a really big thing that's going to be helpful for a lot of people. All right, so I'm just going to go over kind of the problem, the situation with neurodiversity, with accessibility, with all the different kinds of onboarding things that are happening right now. I'm sure you guys probably can name off like 20 or 30 AI tools, and they keep on growing like every week. So we're going to be talking about that. Then we're going to go over some of the discovery research I did where I actually sat down with some of these enterprise sellers, actually helped them kind of unmask a little bit about their neurodivergence and really got to the crux about the problem that they're facing in their busy jobs. And then I have a quick demo of a prototype I did with the interaction, like a lot of patterns I heard, a lot of fears and a lot of frustrations. We're going to kind of go over that and see how a job coach can actually help with a sales kind of situation. And then, I'm going to go over the whole PM risks and metrics and stuff and how to kind of like measure this as this can actually be a product. But I think the main thing I want you guys to take away is like, who are you going to be building for, right? Who are you going to actually be building for in any products that you develop, right? Because personalization is going to be like the future. All right, so I think a quick thing about me, I have ADD. I got diagnosed when I was 16. I wasn't finishing my tests on time. I was like staring out into the clouds, into the nature, into the birds, and everybody was like wondering why I would get like 5 out of 20 right, and every time that was great, but like why wouldn't I finish it? So growing up in a society where I needed to take SATs, GMATs, and stuff like that, a lot of pressure to get medication, and that was my journey at 16. Now, in my age right now, I'm learning that medication actually can impact my heart. And so I am decreasing that medication, and I'm going through that process right now. And I'm curious because I was talking to my psychiatrist who gives me this medication. And I was like, what are you doing to help kids these days to, maybe do some natural remedies, not medication for ADD? The leading thing that she told me was that they're doing biofeedback, which means that they just put something on your head and then shock you to get you to pay attention. That's like the future of the medication right now and like how they're helping people. That scared the shit out of me. And I feel like there's a lot more that we can do there. So that got me kind of curious to learn about like, what is a job where like neurodiverse people would struggle with a lot, right? Especially in this day and age with AI. And I thought a lot about the enterprise seller, right? I've worked with a lot of them over my 10 years, and that is a tough job to have. Like they have to be like a duck, like super busy underwater, but like calm, cool, and collected. They're seeing so many different customers. They have to interact with so many different people. It's all about relationships, and they have to stay cool and confident. It's like a really tough job, a lot of context switching, right? So that's something that I really kind of thought, like, I wonder if like, they might have some disability like me. And so just doing some secondary research, this is pretty shocking, but like, I think 10 to 20% of the population in the world is about neurodiverse, right? They could be dyslexic, bipolar, ADHD, but 50% of actual salespeople in the world are neurodiverse, right? So that's staggering, and that kind of helps me understand, it's a crazy job, but I think like that helps, right? That job helps with how that brain works. And I think another interesting thing I found was that like when salespeople are in their best frame of work and how they work, they like to do complex patterns and deals and kind of put together this like a detective. When they can operate in that environment, like those are some of the best salespeople I've ever worked with, right? And especially when you're taking complex products, trying to explain it to people, they get passionate about that, and they can actually do work and they can win deals. And when they're allowed to do that, that's impressive. But I think what we found is that like a lot of these sellers don't feel like they have the tools that they're equipped to do that, or they're bogged down to be able to express like how they act and how they operate in the workforce, right? And 75% of the tools that they say in surveys, right, don't work for them, right? And that's a thing. And so when you think about like how that doesn't work for them, they don't have a supportive environment, they're kind of scared to even say they're neurodiverse. A lot of them kind of leave within 12 months and do something else, right? So it's a problem for the enterprise to retain people like these people, right? And that's something that I found in my initial like secondary research. And then the other thing is like, why aren't the companies like investing into this? Like, what's going on here? To my point, like a lot of people fear to kind of say, hey, I'm neurodiverse. Like, I just want everybody to know that. Like, you walk into a company, you're gonna feel like you might be different. You might be tough to work with, right? And that could actually create some pressures, like you might not get promoted, you might not be able to keep your job because your leadership thinks you're too needy or you need help, right? And I think like when I think about, I have like some HR friends right now and I ask them how their day is going and they're just like 12-hour days trying to like screen all these applications that are coming in because everybody's like laid off and trying to get jobs. They don't have time to culture build right now. Like they are just busy trying to stay afloat themselves. So there's no like trusted system for anybody to feel comfortable to say, hey, I'm neurodiverse and I have these things. And that's going to make me feel like I work better, right? It's like a very like drowning voice. And then again, all these tools. I learned OpenClaw for like 2 weeks, and then Dispatch came out, and I'm just like, what the fuck did I just do? Like that's like, I mean, and this is going to continue, right? It's going to continue for the next couple of years. So it's very overwhelming right now, and I think like neurodivergent sellers specifically feel like they just don't have a lot to do, a lot to work with. It's absolute chaos. So I think like one of the things I wanted to do is like a side project that I was doing is like I worked with a lot of like enterprise sellers over my 10 years in different companies like startups and like robotics and then like Schwab and like financial planning, like all the like gamma of people. And I just reached out to them and I kind of like let them know, hey, listen, I want to know about new ways of working in this world of AI. How are you doing with your productivity? What are some best practices I can learn? It's like a mom test, right? Like, hey, after a deal, how do you feel about it? Like, what tools are you using, right? What's the biggest thing that's keeping you up at night? Things like that, right? And what I did is that I disclosed in my initial reach out, like, hey, I'm neurodiverse, so as I enter the workforce, I just want to be prepared, and I just, this is going to be helpful, right? And that's pretty much the disclosure I did because I just wanted to make sure, I've read these like facts that like people are scared to talk about that, right? People are scared to unmask. So I just wanted to say, hey, I'm neurodiverse and I just want to learn how you work. And, surprisingly, a lot of people, there could be some sampling bias, but I think like what I wanted to say is like, there's a community here that felt open to share with me. Out of the 10 people that I interviewed, 6 people said like, I have ADD, I have dyslexia, or I have dyspraxia, right? And I felt like that was very helpful to get to real insights about like how they struggle with their work, right? They're afraid to say to anybody, maybe their therapist or their family or their friends, but like in a workplace setting, like that's pretty important. So I think that's kind of how I did this research. It's not like super perfect, but I really wanted to get into this community idea. Okay, so I think the biggest 3 things I learned, the first one is pretty common whether you're neurodiverse or not. It's just like there's a lot of productivity that needs to be done, right? And there's a lot of context switching that's happening, right? And so that problem is real. It's escalated now with AI, and they feel like they're overwhelmed. They need to be constantly on different kind of deals, changing things. And when they actually try to use like ChatGPT or an AI tool, it's just like, okay, I do all this work to put this stuff in, and then like the next deal I have to start over, right? And it's just like, there's no context, right? It's that context window that's limited. There's no memory or no way to like kind of talk and track these deals. That's like a big thing, right? The other one is that just in general, like they have to communicate with customer success when like something is breaking. They have to communicate with the product people when there's a new product that's coming out. They have to go to these conferences. They have to talk to their manager, right? They have to do a lot of different like things that actually are not incentivized for them to actually get money, because at the end of the day, they have to get the deals in, right? And all these things they see as distractions from that, because that's the incentive structure, but it's overwhelming, right? And then the third thing, and I think this is like the biggest thing that I want to emphasize in this entire talk, is like a lot of the tools out there, like you think about Salesforce, Gong, Clary, Microsoft Copilot, all these things, they're all like top down. Like they're all like, hey, I know the sales framework is MEDPIC, right? So I'm just going to give you MEDPIC and I'm just going to summarize all this stuff and then you're just going to go ahead and do that form, right? That's not really thinking about the person and how they can interact with that form, right? And that's the biggest thing I heard from all 10 of these people. Like, I just create my own process. Like, they have to do this shit and I have to do this to actually have a job. But I do all this work on my own and I have my own little process to do these things, right? It's double work and that's what causes a lot of that burnout. That's what I heard in the research. Okay, so one thing I was thinking about, as they were talking to me about like what they do and their processes and all this stuff, and it's different for ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, like they're all different kind of issues, but I think one of the things is just thinking about how this person thinks best, right? I think there was a talk earlier by Jillian that kind of, I don't know if any of you guys attended that, but that was great. And they were talking about meeting the person where their cognitive load is at that time, right? What is their thinking process? How can they think better, right? How can you share that information with somebody? And I think it's really about like having this AI understand who you are from a personality profile perspective. So there's a lot of communication styles out there. I think I have a demo on Myers-Briggs. I think that's like the most popular one, but there's other things like this, DSRT, Strength Finder. Like when I was in Schwab, the whole team, they made us do like the Clifton Strengths, right? That's what the leader wanted, right? And I felt like that was something that was new to me, but I did it anyways. It felt like a little weird, but everybody did it. And to be honest, it helped me like work with other people better, like at least internally, right? You have a question?
Is that the color one?
Which one? Myers-Briggs?
No, Strength Finders.
No, they have like all these different types, like
Profiles.
yeah, profiles.
Okay.
Yeah. There's probably another one right there, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot.
Like the green, red, yellow.
Yeah, the green, red, yellow.
I forget which that is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that's another one I need to look into. I mean, there's so many.
That
yeah.
one's the best one. I have ADD too, so
Oh,
sorry,
nice.
throwing you off a little.
Nice, you got a community here. Look at that.
No, that one is the best one though. I'll look it up, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's lots of different frameworks that like an AI can take and apply, right? And when you think about the enterprise, like Schwab was really about Clifton Strengths, and I'm sure that's different for other like HR, situations. But I think that's a way for a sales tool to really meet them where they're at. Like, hey, I know your personality profile, and then like I think the evolution is like now with how AI can really listen to a lot of context. It's like more about like, hey, not only do I know your personality profile, but I know this other person, right? And it's more about the buyer, right? And that's the biggest thing with the deal situation is that like they get nervous about the buyer. They don't know like what they're thinking that day, how they're approaching the situation. There's lots of different like variables with that. And so meeting them where they're at their point of anxiety is kind of like what this communication style is supposed to do. It's supposed to help them disarm them of their fears and then help them move forward with their superpowers, if you will. So what I'm going to do is go into just like this demo that I created on a situation. So the situation here is that there's Andrea. She just got promoted from a SDR, BDR to an AE. So it's a different job. She's struggling a bit. She has a really big deal. She's 3 months into it. Her manager's already like, what's going on with you? Like, you're not picking it up. She feels very like insecure. And that's kind of the context here. Let me just fast forward, get started. All right. So she just got off a call with her manager. She's checking her phone, and then Alma comes in as a coach, and she pretty much says, "Hey, listen, I hear that you have this meeting. How are you feeling about it? Just checking in, right?" I'm going to play Andrea. I'm going to say, "Hey, I'm super nervous. Oop. Everybody is watching me. The CFO buyer is scary. So it's coming in, it's telling me, hey, I understand what you're talking about. That CFO energy is very troublesome for who you are, right? But it's telling you like, hey, I've been kind of observing your patterns, right? It's a little creepy, but like, it's just like, okay, I have nothing else to lose. I'm Andrea, I'm in trouble, like I'm not producing. Somebody maybe knows more about me here in this work context. I'm gonna figure out what's going on here. So it's going to give you the personality profile, right? And this is the Myers-Briggs thing. So think about it as an HR onboarding. You take these tests, right? It can listen to your voice recordings, your gong calls, your interactions on Slack. It gets this information to be able to kind of confidently tell you this is your profile, right? And then the same thing from the buyer end as well, right? It has access to managers. They know their customers. They know their accounts, right? They get that input from them. And it's able to kind of make that connection, right? And that's all happening in the background. But it's coming to this person with a solution right then and there, right? But at the same time, I see that this guy's super assertive, right? I'm not. Like, how the hell am I going to match that energy? So how can I match that energy? Okay. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you a game plan, right? That's your biggest concern. You're going to come in there. He's going to come in there trying to, like, steer the deal this way. How do I approach this situation? So it gives you a playbook. It gives you these tactics based on your personality profile, right? It knows that he's going to come in hard with discounts, right? That's his biggest thing in the emails. But how you pause and how you frame for your personality profile, this is a structured script for you to consider. And then the same thing, like when they challenge you on features, active listening is your superpower based on my personality profile, right? So it's going to give you scripts and stuff on how to kind of practice that, right? And it's going to tell you your power here is coming in prepared with questions, right? At the end of the day, you can always be curious and ask questions against somebody that's assertive. So you can go down this practice scenario. You can kind of do that role playing. I don't know if you've ever done that with the AI, but that exists, right? And then you can save this playbook and reference it later. That's all like something that you can go down to. So at the end of the day, I'm still like, okay, like this is a lot for me right now. You're just telling me about myself. Maybe I'm not even aware of that, which is a problem, right? A lot of these people are not aware. Like, I don't know. I think this is changing who I am. This is not me. I'm not cut out for sales, right? It's just like the pure spiral. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make this work, right? So again, something that was shared on onboarding, something that was shared is like your favorite book. It's Susan Cain Quiet. Like that's for her, right? There's a quote in there that helps her kind of think about that moment when she read that book and it was such an important book. She put it into like, that's my favorite book, right? And it's a thing that kind of prompts her to think about, okay, that makes me feel strong. I think the bigger thing here, and I think what's a little bit different than what you see with most personalized assistants, is that it's trying to build this community. It's trying to say, hey, listen, I know somebody using this tool, like in a different organization that's also neurodiverse. They practiced this script and they actually delivered. Do you want to connect with this person? It's going to give you the email of this person, right? There's obviously some privacy and consent considerations here, but that's the structure of what's going on here. It's making you feel like somebody else did this, somebody like you, and that you can actually deliver, right? So it's going to give you these, connection points and things that you want to do. And at the end of the day, from a business standpoint, it's going to tell you all the work that you're going to be doing is not just one-off, right? These are related deals that you have that this approach can actually be a playbook for these deals, right? And this is kind of what would make somebody think like, I should put in this time because this is going to make the next 3 months helpful for me. And it gives you the timeline, where you started from, where you're at, and where you want to go, right? And that's the whole situation. That's what the demo is. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here with the personalized AI for the enterprise seller. Any questions on the demo first before I go on?
It's very cool.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
He's not done.
So I do have a question.
Yeah. So,
If somebody came up to me and said, I'm neurodiverse, I'd be like, but what am I supposed to do with that information? I don't know what it means. If someone says, this is all new to me, can you speak more slowly? Okay, that's actionable.
that's right.
But if someone just says I'm neurodiverse, it's like you're dropping a bomb on me, and I don't know what type of bomb it is. That would put me on. That would increase my stress level and not feel very positively towards the person.
Okay. So when you're saying this, are you like the manager in the situation, or like what? Are you just like a random
I just
person?
when somebody comes up and says something to you, you're just like, And what am I supposed to do with this
There's gonna be a
information?
follow-up question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but-
the way that I handle that is
Yeah.
very much hey, I just think differently. So I may have other questions, because I've had that.
See, that's fine, then you just,
Yeah.
okay, expect more questions, but someone just says I'm neurodiverse, what do I do with that?
That's a good
It's
point.
like, maybe ask them, like, how do you want me to, connect with you, or some kind of question, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is, instead of putting that on the other person,
Right.
instead of saying, I'm neurodiverse, how about coming out and saying, hey, I need more information on this, or whatever.
I'm
Tell the
auditory
person-
or vision, or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, but tell the person what you want, instead
Yeah.
of just dropping something on them and it's like now you're making it their problem.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I think that's part of the problem that I found talking to some people in the community is like a lot of people, there's like different levels of awareness, right? And some people are just discovering it. Some people like have been on it for a while and they developed ways to actually communicate back, right? And so I think that's what we're trying to do here is like help them become aware so that they can start communicating more to other people. Like, hey, I work best like this, right? Especially with people like dyslexia. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, if someone says, I work best like this, it's like, great, now you are enabling me to support you, thank you.
That's
I can
right.
do something with that.
Yeah, and I think like there's also this layer of fear, right? Like a lot of people are just afraid to like come out with that information because they might get reprimanded, they might get like society thing, like might like look at you, judge you. So there's a lot of like insecurities with it, which is very interesting to me, just because like I feel like when people can get off of that level, right, they can start interacting better, right? They can start interacting securely and connecting with other people, right? But I think that that's like a huge problem. Like all these people that told me that they had ADHD, they just told me, yeah, somebody told me I have ADHD. I think I have it. Like here's how I think, but like they're not like trying to think about, okay, this is who I am and this is how I think. So these are the ways I need to work, right? And I think that's where the personalized AI kind of comes in to help out. Yeah.
I'm curious how, with the app, how does it weigh typical strengths and weaknesses associated with something like ADHD alongside of, you pointed out Myers-Briggs? Like, do you identify yourself when you're using the app as someone with ADHD?
Yeah, so I think that's something that's a little bit careful, right? Like it has to be consent based. Like that's the whole thing. To be able to tell tell the AI that you have ADHD, it has to come from you, right? And it has to be perfectly like that's from you, right? In order for this to kind of work, right? So that's like a huge thing before. Like it's not going to say like, hey, you have ADD, so you need to do this, right? It's not going to interact like that. But it's all about like trusting the AI to help you with that situation, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. How much time do I have? Just a couple minutes. Yeah, so again, like, it's all about ethics. It's all about, like, creating a safe space. It has to be accurate. And then, like, that fear, right? Like, how do you overcome that fear? So there's a lot of things that you can do with communities, with technology, like the models itself. It has to be proprietary. It has to make sure that it's not exposing this information out to everybody, right? And then like from a fear-based thing, that's just pretty much how like the go-to-market would happen. So essentially it's just trust as a foundation. It needs to have that like anthropic code of ethics so that it can behave in a certain way up front. And then from an accuracy standpoint, the model selection needs to be very, very careful about proprietary confidential information. There's certain models that are already built for that are very lightweight to use. But then also, if you think about like, hey, that's a pretty big thing for you to say, hey, this buyer is not part of my organization, but I'm going to go ahead and call that personality profile. Like that's a pretty big like leap, right? So I think that's when the agentic experience kind of comes in to constantly update this thing. It needs to have like a human governance model, right? People need to kind of go in, evaluate this. The sales leadership needs to be able to kind of like say, hey, that's actually right. I know this person, this is fair, right? So there needs to be a human in the loop to actually make this happen. And then like from a fear-based thing, like it really needs to start from that person to be able to trust this thing. Like the adoption risk is like the biggest thing, right? Like how the hell are people going to start doing this? Like it really needs to come from that upward moment. And it needs to say, hey, I like this tool. This is something I'm using. I want to use it more. How can I make this part of this this work experience? So that's pretty much what I have. I think like the last thing I want to say here is like ERGs are really important within like these enterprises, right? To be able to actually facilitate something like this. there's different frameworks like the color coding, right? That's super important, and there's more frameworks being done every single like year, which is exciting. And then like it needs to also be real time, right? Eventually. Like when you're in a call, like how are you going to get somebody to be like kind of whispering in your ear doing these things? I remember like I was on a call like for a big deal with Amazon. This like we were putting like 150 robots in this like warehouse, and the CEO was like talking to this other CEO, and this other guy was like just whispering what to say to him, like pretty much like on a Slack message, so that he would just fucking like parrot it out. And it was like that's exactly what this needs to be. And then, yeah, the last question I have for you is like, yeah, think about who you're really building for. Really go deep into like exactly their behaviors, because like in the world of AI, and I saw some scary sessions today, man, like about the future role of a PM. But I think one of the things that I'm confident about is like product sense, product judgment, and quality is like what a PM can take with them, no matter what. And so it really comes down to knowing who you're building for, and really getting curious about that. All right, that's what I got. Thank you. Yeah.
So I want to say, like, this is amazing, because it is difficult to be neurodivergent, to understand, like, from the other side. So it's very difficult of, like, why is this person, you know, so for me, I need, like, direct, like, hey, I need you to do this for blah, blah, blah. And when people imply things, I don't get that. Like, I don't understand when someone says one thing, but there's like a whole bunch of stuff underneath the surface that they're wanting, which makes it frustrating for both of us.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to learn more, and they're like, why aren't you just getting this? Like, because I don't understand. Like, my brain does not work that way. So I think I think it's huge and would be very beneficial. I mean, I would love to use it, and like for the personality types with someone that I work with at work, just understanding. And it's not that I want those conflicts. It's not that I need, or it's not about that. It's just, how do I communicate to where they also understand? So yeah, I think this is really amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I agree. I mean, I think like now that a lot of the technology is automating a lot of these tasks, right, you can have room for more of these conversations, right? And I think that that's kind of where that connection needs to happen, right? So that
Maybe
that
addressing
means
it versus avoiding it too.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Exactly.
a lot. Yeah.
I have a question about the demo. Is it somewhere where people can play with it and access it?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely share that out. Or if you want to take a screenshot of this, the link is on here.
But I was
Yes,
curious
please.
too. I think part of it was, okay, I'm talking to a CFO and here's my personality, and then I think it called out their personality
Yeah.
as well. So is
Yeah.
is the app guessing their type based on their communication?
Yeah. So the way, I mean, this is a lightweight demo. It has like 3 or 4 different scenarios. So just to give an example of what it could be, I'm still kind of building it out. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely play around with it for sure.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah.
I anecdotally know that more than half of woodworkers are dyslexic. So I'm just curious, as I look at that with what you said about salespeople, are you thinking beyond just tools like this, but how can we make roles in industries more available to neurodiverse people so that they don't all end up in specific pockets?
I mean, that's definitely like that's kind of what I feel like. This is just a very narrow use case. It's something that I went deep on. But like, I know that there's other people in other pockets of these things. Like a lot of like entrepreneurs too are also neurodivergent. So there's definitely, I think, frameworks that you can build. Like it's all about templatizing, right, on these frameworks to help them with their specific industry and their domain. And there's definitely room to kind of build this kind of stuff for these different verticals. The technology is there. It's just somebody needs to kind of, start it. And it's pretty exciting. I mean, especially like dyslexic people too. Like I've been working with a partner recently, and like ADHD and dyslexic people like working together. It's super interesting. Like we went through this like pattern of like, hey, we think very differently. I was getting like distracted, and she wanted very like specific information for me to write things down, right? And like we learned together because we were very patient and we understood these things. But I mean, I think that's the thing that like that's what I think a lot of this AI can help out, right? It can help somebody become self-aware to say, hey, I'm neurodiverse and I learned this way and this is who I am, right? And I think that's just like the start of things, right?
Personally, I wouldn't say I'm neurodiverse because
Yeah,
it's like, what does that mean? I would just say, hey, this is how I learn.
yeah.
So could we please present things in a way so that it's going to be way more productive? Because who doesn't want productive, right?
Why I would, for myself, I would share that I'm neurodiverse. It's not to put any pressure on anyone. It's a, hey, just letting you know, my brain works differently.
Yeah, but I would just say that because otherwise a person could think like, oh crap, do I need to go document this for HR or whatever?
Well, I think that's where
You
the,
know?
Yeah.
when you ask the question.
That's the stigma, right?
Yeah, that's the stigma of like, so
Yeah.
when that person, so if someone brings it to you, my suggestion would be, if somebody says, hey, I have ADD, I'm neurodivergent, it's a great way to start that conversation. Because it is a scary thing, and it is that is a very large vulnerability, because there is the fear of the way that you just reacted. So I wouldn't want to, so they're telling you a big personal part of themselves by sharing that they have that. And it's again, it's not to put any pressure on anybody to do anything special. I'm not expecting them to do anything special. I'm not expecting anything. But if you feel that that's the pressure you're being put under, I would suggest communicating that. Like, hey, okay, I understand. Thank you for letting me know. What does that mean that you need from me? It's just one of the, like, create that safe space. Because I think over there you had on the slide, like 30 or 50% of people leave jobs.
Yeah.
Because if they share it, then now it turns into all the stigma behind it. When all that I'd say we are asking for is just understanding and patience. That's it.
And you're handing them a user manual in some ways, right?
Exactly, yeah.
It's just opening a conversation, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. And there's like, I am married to a neurotypical person, and it is a very interesting relationship. So I'm trying to learn their thinking too. So I would feel like it's more of a, hey, let's start the conversation instead of, I need you to do this for me. Like, that's not the way that, when I say I'm ADD, I'm not saying, hey, I'm this, you need to do something. That is never what I want to bring into that conversation, because you already feel like you're a burden. You already feel like
But you shouldn't, right?
you're not good enough. Yeah, or people don't understand. Like, there's already all of that anxiety behind having ADD that we don't want to put anything on anybody else. And that's why it's hey, just letting you know, please be patient. You know, that's all it is. It's not really expecting you to do anything, other than just kind of like, okay, well, what can I do to support you? That one sentence will make a huge difference to the other person.
So actually, I have ADHD.
Yeah.
And when I have forgotten to take the Adderall, it drives my friends nuts, okay? But I use it as a superpower. I'm in product marketing, and I make sure that I make the first clause of the first sentence, you've got a reason to read this. And it irritates me when I see marketing materials that are not like that, where they just go on and like they start with FUD. It's like, I'm not reading that. So it's a matter of, instead of using it as I need special treatment, and instead it's a superpower, because in this day and age, people go into overwhelm so quickly, right? So because of that, it's just like, okay, I assume everybody's in overwhelm. Get their attention to the first clause, the first sentence, right? We're good. And so instead of announcing that I have ADHD, right? Because I don't want people to then fight. You do something like, oh, that's what. It's kind of like they could think like, oh, you're an alcoholic, and meanwhile you never touch alcohol. Then they'll start attributing all these things to that. So I'm reluctant to have any label attached.
I think maybe, honestly, I think it's just a generational difference. That's all it is. I mean, it's very much open now and out there, and there's education, and there's
Bring your whole
with
self to work,
kids.
same thing.
Yeah, it's just a different way of where the world is at right now. Where it's just, hey, here's just a thing about me, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all it is.
But I appreciate you guys all coming in here, taking your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to hang out more and ask any questions. I think.